Over the last few days, I found myself asking, why does God allow pain? Why does God allow me to feel so much pain? Why does God allow you to feel so much pain? And honestly, without no cap, I've been going through a lot over the past few days. Since the year began, it's not been easy, literally. It's not been easy. I've endured losses that I never thought would ever reach to me. And I found myself sitting at a corner asking myself, why? How would God allow so much pain in my life? Stick with me and let's find out why and how God allows so much pain. Hi guys, welcome once again to another interesting video from Kai Kate Lux herself. So in today's video, as you've seen from the intro, we are going to be talking about not a so pleasant topic. So we're going to be talking about pain. We're going to be talking about every manner, every sort of pain that we go through, that you're going to go through in life. And honestly, this is not an easy topic for me personally, because let me tell you guys, I've been going through a lot over the last few days. And I just sat down, and as I was making notes, I tend to ask God, what do you want me to discuss with your people? What do you want me to shoot for? What do you want me to talk about? And I found myself in a position where I was asked, talk about yourself. And I was wondering, what am I going to talk about myself? And I said, I'm going to talk about whatever I'm going through right now, because I know, as much as maybe not all of you might relate to it, at least that one person, those two people, those 10,000 people might relate to this one. So today we're going to be talking about pain in expulsion, okay? And I am going to hold your hand and tell you that God does not orchestrate the pain that you have gone through, my dear. God does not orchestrate, God does not cause you pain. He does not cause you pain. It is written in Hebrews, He does not cause you pain. So we are going to first by defining the definition of pain. So what is pain? All of us have a different definition of pain. Maybe my pain is losing someone, your pain is being hungry, another person's pain is being disabled, another person's pain is lacking, another person's pain is mourning, and all of those pains. So we are going to be defining the definition, we're going to be stating the definition of pain. So the pain is an unpleasant sensation or experience. It is an unpleasant situation or experience in our life. Not all of us, but some of us have experienced this pain, unpleasant pain, a pain that you cannot relate to, a pain that you cannot sit with, a pain that doesn't even allow you to sleep. This is the kind of pain you're talking about today. So, any experience of suffering, loss, or distress, you're very distressed. You cannot focus on your daily activities. You cannot do 1, 2, 3. Why? Because of this pain. So, we're going to be giving a list of examples of this pain. Okay, this is just like me bantering with you, because I know you guys know what pain is. So, we're just like talking. So, what is an example of this pain? So, we have the physical pain. This is when maybe you're cut, you're burned, you're ill. Like myself, I've not been cut. Oh, have I been cut? No. I've never been cut. I have been burnt when I was a small baby. Illness. Hey, you and I imenifuata. I've been ill a couple thousands of times. So there's illness. And the other one is emotional pain or mental pain. This is the pain of that you feel like, nowadays people discuss a lot about depression. And I'm not dismissing any charges, because I want you first, guys, to understand that I am a psychologist. But what I'm saying is this. What have I said? Depression. as much as we might want to quantify it to this world, depression goes deeper. And I know some of you might say, I'm too religious, I'm too that and that, but it's the truth. Ask the doctors, ask the medics, me being one of them, and you'll understand what I'm saying. Anyways, I'm going out of topic. So we're saying emotional or mental pain. So this is the loss, the fear, grief, anxiety, We've said pain uko in a distress. You're in distress totally. So what causes you this distress emotionally? Oh, emotionally or mentally. This is grief, loss, anxiousness. And we have the third one is spiritual pain. This is the pain of temptation, of possession, of being tormented. Oh my God. I'm really praying I don't become emotional as this video is going on. But compose yourself, my dear. Compose yourself. Compose yourself. Can you see my eyes? Anyways, compose myself. Compose yourself, Kate. You're a big girl. So this is what I'm saying. Examples of pain, we've said we have the physical one, which is being cut, maybe all something that is affecting your physique. We talked about physical body in our recent episode. So physical pain, emotional, mental pain, this is grief, loss, anxiety, and all that. Spiritual pain is temptation, possession, being tormented, and that is where my depression comes in. Hapo kwa tormented. Anyways, I've not said anything. So, you guys, I'm going to give you, I listed like some of the stories that I'm going to be sharing with you because there is no better way to explain what pain is than reflecting reflecting it through me. Like, okay, I really don't want pain to be reflected through me. I want Christ to be reflected through me. I mean, also through you, my viewer. But pain has been reflected in my life in so many ways, and I'm going to start with the recent one. So on September last year, I got involved in a very bad accident. I was hospitalized. I couldn't do anything for myself. I am in a foreign country, my friend. Huh? That is when you know that even brushing your teeth is very important and something that you should say, thank you, God, for that. Walking, turning in bed, tossing. I used to struggle, guys. So, you know, when I was hospitalized, I felt so much pain because, according to my understanding, I felt like the devil wanted to take me out at that point because at that point is the time I had the Kaiketlax. I had started Kaiketlax. That is the literally the week I had shot for those videos. So I really felt a lot of bitterness, a lot of anger. And one thing that happened during that incident, I lost like my memory. I didn't lose like all of it, but because as I was driving, I was the one who was driving myself. As I was driving very well. When I fell, I don't know how I fell, but luckily I am a content creator. So my friend or my videographer was videographing me. She was taking a video of me during the ride and all that because of the excitement and all that. And she happened to freeze when I fell and it captured everything. So apart from seeing the video on my phone, I would have never known how it happened. So I lost my memory. I couldn't remember how I felt. I couldn't remember me going to the hospital, the ambulance, and all that. I couldn't remember anything. After that, we also continued with the trip because it was a trip. We went on, and apparently, I even took photos with my friends because it was like a ladies' hangout. We went and took photos, and I don't remember any of that. I don't remember any of that. Like the moment my head hit the ground, I think that shock fell into me, like got into me so deep that point of my life was erased. Up to this day, I sit down and try to meditate. What happened? Did I press the oil gas or the gas too much that I really don't know what happened, but I have the video. So I am grateful I survived that. So during that time, I was in so much pain physically, mentally, because I was like, God, I am doing Kaiketlax for you. Why would you allow this to happen to me? Financially, I'm not in a good place. So why? I need to be hospitalized. Oh my God, I needed a lot. So that time I experienced a lot of pain. And also in high school, so I'm just going to give you a snippets of every pain so that also you feel confident sharing, talking about your pain. Because one thing I have embraced since I got saved is talking about your pain. The more you talk about it, as more as psychology says that you're going to heal and all that, a problem shared is a problem half solved, you know but this point is a pain shared is a pain half solved, so I have learned to say that and that and that, and I've also learned that through my pain somebody else could be delivered, through my pain somebody could gain victory. So that's why I'm very outspoken about my pain. Those who know me know I literally don't hide my pain. Sinanga aibu. Aibu ni kitu sinanga tena. So acne, I got acne in high school. I had a really bad acne. Those who are with me in high school, they can relate. I looked like a frog, literally. Is it a cartoon or what? I looked like a frog because I had a lot of acne. And as you can see, my face is not one to have acne. So I was scared. And plus, in my family, I looked at everyone. That time I am young. I am looking at people and I'm like, dad doesn't have it, mom doesn't have it, my sis doesn't have it, my bro doesn't have it. Why me? Everybody in class doesn't have it, only me. And that led to me being like dismissed from school for a whole term. And then I came back. And then you know how high school is. It was a boarding school. There's bullying and all that. People don't want to look at you. You don't look pleasing to the eye. So I ended up going home for the rest of the term. So that's why I stayed at home for a whole term. And that caused me a lot of pain physically because I couldn't understand what was going on. But I think it was adolescent and all that. But thank God it ended. I love my skin so much. I was also suffering emotional because your friends reject you. You don't have anybody to hang out with. And I literally don't blame them because maybe they thought it was contagious and they were still babies back then. So I went through those, and I had a loss of my grandpa and my grandma. I really don't talk about that that much. Yeah. My grandpa from my dad's side and my grandma from my mom's side. Yeah, I was literally close, like closely with them, but regardless, they were my people. They were my parents in some way. So they really had an impact on me. And I, up to today, when I see the full moon, I remember my grandpa, because during that time when we were going for the burial and all that, I remember me looking up, you know, and I saw the moon and I was like, it was a full moon. From that day, that image has never left my mind. The way like you smell somebody's perfume and you remember them, you see some ornament, you see some decoration and you remember your mom, you eat some food and you remember someone. So when I see the full moon, I remember my grandpa, may his soul rest in peace. And my grandma, apparently, we had spent the whole holiday, which was a really long holiday, together. And then after that, she came on and passed. And I'm telling you guys, my grandma was strong. She was not old. Only the ages were old. In our family, we don't get that old that we are 60 now, we have crutches. No, we don't. So my grandpa was not, my grandma, why am I saying my grandpa? My grandma was not old. So out of all the people, I never thought that she would pass away. I never thought that she would leave us. And apparently, when Corona came, it took her out, and I was so sad. I couldn't believe it. Even when I received the news, everybody was crying, and I couldn't cry. I was like, I'm not going to cry until I go to Shags and witness that really she died. And that is the moment I broke down and all that. I remember I cried for a whole day. Like I've never cried as much as I cried that day. I cried the whole day since morning till evening. And my cousin was there with me. At least I had somebody who could hold me. Yeah. So the loss of my grandma and my grandpa, those, of course, that was emotionally, because physically I was not affected. So it was emotionally. And during this life, I have had the fear of being a failure in life, not who I aspire to become to be. Honestly, I think that is something that we all struggle with. You feel like you have, you're not that, it's not that you're not grateful, but you would like to be in a better position. And in life, I have found myself always asking myself, like, Kate, why are we not there yet? Kate, why are we not there yet? And that thing really brings me down. It brings me down because I literally have my goals written, my dreams written, the time frame and all that. Even the Bible says, just write it with big handwriting so that God might know what you want. So when something feels like it has not aligned to my plan, or has not aligned the way it was, like maybe 2 years have passed, I'm in a foreign country, I've not yet bought what I wanted, I've not yet purchased what I wanted, my family is not yet where I wanted it to be, I personally am not where I wanted myself to be in this year, in this age, I recently even realized I'm getting older, by the way. Yeah. So that is a fear that I've had. And this fear, it brings anxiety, Uh, last year, I think after the incident and all that, I also fell into sickness. I got pneumonia. Now I was hospitalized again. A lot of things happened last year. 2025, I will not forget you. I will not forget you. But you know why I will remember 2025? Because God was so gracious to me that He brought me out of those things, not because of the pain. I have a scar from the accident and I really don't like it. But when I look at it, as much as I see the ugliness in it, I see the gratefulness of God. I see the hand of God that pulled me out of that situation. So I don't look at 2025 as a bad year. I look at it as a good year because that is also the year I got saved. So we have talked about my fear of not making it in life, and I think also you have that fear, okay? But don't let anxiety come over you. Why I was telling you about 2025 when I got sick, and I had never like been in hospital so many times for myself. So that thing brought anxiety to me. Like I started wondering, like, I'm earning the money I'm taking to hospital. When I'm not earning the money, I'm in bed, lying down. I am weak, literally. I can't do anything. And this is a foreign country, my friend. My mama is not here to make porridge for me. It's either I become strong or I become strong or I become strong. Yeah. So I found myself in anxiety. Like that was the first time, maybe the second time in my life I experienced anxiety that much in a way that I couldn't even breathe. I used to tell my best friend, I am not breathing. I am not breathing. I am struggling to breathe. Like I just think about something, about my life, about the money I've spent, about some things, and I literally can't breathe. Yeah, so that was anxiety, but I dealt with it. And I want to encourage you guys, whenever you feel like this, whenever you feel anxious about anything, just pray. Just pray. Anytime I felt like crying during those hard days in 2025 and even in 2025, I just knelt down and prayed. Even if not kneeling down, I just closed my eyes. Even in times when I couldn't pray, I closed my eyes. I listened to the world. I listened to music. I just quieted myself because I'm not lying. When you're going through this pain, you cannot pray sometimes. And I was also disappointed in a failed relationship that I had invested a lot in. That I had invested a lot in. My God, my God, my God. One of these fine days, I'm going to be talking with you guys. I'm thinking about having a live session. Like when I'm not like I shoot, we edit and all that. Like we shoot while another person is editing, and then we go live with you guys. Like for example, now I'm recording, we go live. So during one of those lives, we are going to be discussing about that relationship and my past life. I know a lot of you guys are curious about how I got into salvation and all that. Yes, I have told you like some snippets, but there's a whole lot of things that you don't know about me. There's a whole lot of things that God delivered me from that I've not yet spoken about them. And I feel like this year is going to be that year that God is going to let me share it with you. So when that happens, you're going to be doing a live, so don't miss it. Make sure you turn on that notification bell to be notified anytime Kai Ketlux is live or posted a video, okay? So I was disappointed in this failed relationship. It was a romantic relationship with this guy that I really loved, and it didn't work out. It was not ugly, but it really didn't work out. It really didn't work out. And it caused me a lot of pain, a lot of healing was needed, a lot of coming to God was needed. I think at some point this was the main thing, like this was the final blow. Yes, I had so many propelling things that propelled me to come into salvation. That is in 2025, on April 2025. That is when I got saved. So I had so many things propelling me to get into salvation. like personally, because I've grown in a home that salvation is basic, but I never knew God for myself. I knew the God of my mom, the God of my dad, the God of my bro, the God of my sis. I never knew God of Kate. So I was propelled so many times in my life to come and get to know who this God of Kate might be, you know? And I think the final blow was the feeling of this relationship, you know? So sometimes I look at it and I'm like, it was necessary, wasn't it? Because who would be Kaiket laxing for you guys? It was necessary. So we go to the Bible. Yeah, we go to the Bible. I have given you some now real life stories of my pain. And I feel nice. I feel nice. I feel nice sharing it with you guys because you've created a safe space where I can do that. So in the Bible, when I think of pain, I think of one person the most. I think of Naomi because, like, I don't know if you guys have come across the book of Ruth. Naomi was the mother-in-law of Ruth. You know, Ruth had married the son, and that's why she was the mother-in-law, obviously. So when Naomi left, she left the land and she went to another land, like a foreign land. She went with a husband who was healthy, two sons who were very healthy. In that land, they occupied. In that land, these sons got married. In that land, the family thrived. But after a while, the papa died, that is the dad, the two sons died, and Naomi was all alone. And now I have experienced what loss is, and I can tell you for real, I don't know. I don't know how Naomi made it. It can only be God, because your husband, your two sons, and it came a point she wanted to return back home because now I have no husband, I have to go back home, and it was they were having drought in the foreign land. So she wanted to come back home because back at home things were going on very well. So she needed a life, a life that she could live and not struggle too much. So she opted to go back home. And she had two daughter-in-laws because the two sons were married. And she asked them, guys, please, can you go back to your families? Go back to your mamas, because at least there you can get another suitor and you can be married. But this, this one daughter-in-law stated that wherever you go, I will go. Whoever your God is going to be my God. Wherever you step your foot, I'm going to step mine too. So this daughter was called Ruth. That's the that's the naming of the book, Ruth. You know, and I love Ruth, but today I don't want us to talk about Ruth. I want to talk about Naomi because we see how Naomi's life played out, losing and then coming back. And then as she was coming back, the point that hits me the most, it's like when you're watching the movie and then you have a highlight or the highlight of the day. My highlight of this story, of Naomi's story, was when she was coming back. And people looked at her, and of course, I can imagine there was drought in that land. So she might have been thin, she might have been like not looking good, not good clothes because the papa had died and all that, no sons, and the grief and all that, it has a huge tone on you when it happens, especially when it's people who are close. And now she had lost everything. She only had this daughter-in-law who had just decided to follow her everywhere she went. So people looked at her and they were like, is that not Naomi? Is that not Naomi who left? And she said, guys, do not call me Naomi, call me Mara. And the first time we hear the name Mara in the Bible is when the Israelites were coming, that journey of 40 years, that journey. And Mara was bitter, the bitter waters, you know. So Naomi said, call me Mara, because God has dealt with me brutally. He has dealt with me and has caused me pain. All I bear is pain. And Naomi, when you look at it in the dictionary of the Bible, there's usually a dictionary for the Bible. It's actually online. I've forgotten the name, but you can just search it, you'll find it. The name Naomi means pleasant, but she changed the name. She said, do not call me pleasant no more. You better call me pain, because what I know is pain. What I am is a reflection, and a good one, of pain, because I have lost everything and everyone who was close to me. So I think about Naomi. I also tend to think about Job. You know, Job is this guy who went through a lot. Lost the sons, lost the property, lost the flocks and everything, lost the houses, lost the wealth, lost everything, lost the health. My God, this guy went through hell and back. I also think about Job, you know. I also think about Paul. Paul is the apostle who was like, it is in Second Corinthians that, yeah, I've not even been giving you guys the verses, but it is in Second Corinthians that we see the story of Paul. And Paul was forcefully imprisoned. He was bet, you know. This guy, he calls his pain a platform for God's power. And that is what like stands out the most for me about Paul. Because, oh, I've not told you what stands out the most about Job for me is that the fact that even when the wife said, why are you not cursing this God? He's afflicting you. Why are you not cursing him? He said, I can never. He's been there for me. Like, I'm telling you guys, now I know. When you have seen God with your own eyes, you have tested him, you have smelled his presence, you have felt his hug, his embrace. My dear, my boo boo, my darling. You can never go away from that, even if what and what happens. So that is my highlight for Job. My highlight for Paul is that he called this imprisonment, this beating and all that, he called it, he saw it as a privilege that God saw it fit for him to undergo these things, all for his name, for the name of God, you know. So that is one thing that stands out for me about Paul, you know. And now we come to the question that we all have been asking. Why does God allow pain? Why does God allow pain in our life? So I would like to hear from you guys. Why do you think? Why do you think? Why do you think God allows pain? So there are some notes I wrote here, some points. So God uses pain to build spiritual resilience, you know. The perfect case for this one is Job, you know, because after all the affliction, you know what happened? Everything returned in double portion. Everything literally returned in double portion. So God uses this pain to build spiritual resilience, because it is in that time that Job sat and he used to say that God, mimi siwezi kukas, mimi siwezi kukana, mimi wewe ndio God, wewe ndio big daddy. There is no one else. It's only you. It can only be you. So God uses this pain to build spiritual resilience. So you cannot be shaken. You cannot be told, oh, tuende tuombe hawa, oh, let's go here, and you go. You have spiritual resilience, okay? Pain corrects, it does correct, it guides or redirects toward growth, you know? Pain corrects, you know, it corrects the growth, it corrects everything, it guides, it redirects your growth. It's like, for example, you have a toddler and they just started walking, they're not crawling anymore. You have to guide this baby, you know, he might be bending down and he wants to come up, and there's an edge, like an edge of a table, so you just put your hand, because this baby, you want to prevent that he doesn't hit the head on this edge of the table. So that is the same thing. You redirect him when he's going to touch the water, and you know the consequences of a baby being in water for so long and playing with it. You redirect the baby, you know. So this is what pains us in our life, like that parent who is guiding us, you know, that parent who is directing our growth. Because I'm telling you, as much as you go through this pain, you're going to suffer, yes, but in each stage, as you come out of each pain, my friend, you're learning something. And that learning is what we call growth in layman's language, okay? So pain redirects, guides our growth, you know? So the other one, it teaches you to learn how to rely on God and not yourself. Because the moment when I was sick and I had to go to the hospital, and because it was an accident, they called the what are they called? I'm not going to say the name, but they called the police who are in charge of that department, and the police came in the hospital, and you know, everybody is looking at you and they're just like, oh, what happened? Because I literally broke my arm, my limb was, I was limping, oh my God, it was bad. And it was in that moment that I realized I don't have strength. I cannot do anything. Literally, I cannot do anything. apart from hope and wait that God is going to come through for me. That these policemen, they are not going to find me with fault. That these people, they are going to treat me with the best regards ever. And they're going to treat me in the best way possible. It is in that moment when I had pneumonia and I had the mask in my mouth. I had not gone to work for so many days. I couldn't even take a shower by myself. That is the time I realized that it is not by my own strength that I breathe. It is not by my own strength that I even talk, that I even cook, that I even do my laundry. It is not. It is by the strength of God. So that is something I learned from that sickness, or those two sickness. So it teaches you to rely on God. It taught me that it can only be God. It can only be God. It can only be God. And also pain can serve the greater purpose or glory. For example, Joseph. I also, I've talked about pain, and this I've just highlighted Paul, Job, and Naomi. Yeah, I think those are the people we have highlighted because I think those people underwent the most horrifying pain, not to mention Stephen. But I think those people went through a lot of pain, but there are other characters in the Bible who went through a lot of pain because in this life, it is written you're going to have pain. So you just have to look for a way to endure this pain. And that's why we have Jesus Christ, because he took all the pain for us, so that you might not feel the pain in as much what is it called? In as much efficiency. Hey, the word just escaped, but in as much weight as you should. He lightens the load for you. So I also think about Joseph. Joseph, not Joseph, the father of Jesus, or Joseph Amadea. I'm talking about Joseph, the one who was sold out by the brothers. I mean, I love my siblings so much. Just to think that any of them would sell me for just some little piece of money and make me a slave, and I go in a foreign land and I suffer, and they even have the audacity to lie to my papa that I died. I can just imagine what pain Joseph had, and he went through a lot of pain in Potiphar's wife, through Potiphar's wife in Potiphar's house, imprisonment because he was imprisoned because of accusation and all that. And at the end of this guy he got glorified. He became like the deputy king or the deputy president because of Egypt, because at that time Israel had a lot of drought, and the brothers were coming and all that. And when they came, I'm just going to skip a lot of parts, but I think you guys know the story. When they came and they saw that this is their brother, and they thought that he is going to like harm them because they are the ones who sold him out to slavery in this country that is he is now the deputy president or the deputy king, literally controlling all the trades and all the foods and everything at that time. And he looked at them and he said, God, he said, Satan had purposed my slavery for pain, but God had meant this pain to be my victory, this pain to be my glorification, this pain to be his glorification. And that is what this statement means. Pain can serve as a greater purpose or glory. For example, in Joseph, okay? So sometimes pain is correction and not condemnation. I want you to understand that. I'm going to hold my hand. Hold my hand. Hold my hand. Hold my hand. Nice. So sometimes pain is correction. It is not condemnation. It is not condemnation. As you grow in life, you learn to keep quiet, like not to react over everything and every correction, because you understand that this pain or this correction that I'm going through and is painful to me, it is not a condemnation. It is somebody who is trying to tell me that, Kate, there, where you're going, you're going to fall, my dear. You're going to fall. So we are saying it is not condemnation, okay? So be strong. Let people correct you, okay? I'm also struggling with that, but I'm going to allow it. God takes no pleasure in your suffering. Never curse God. My friend, never curse God. My lovely, never curse God. As I began this video, I said one word, or I said a couple of words, but I said, God does not cause you the pain. God does not orchestrate you the pain. Because I've seen a lot of people when they are going through grief and they are like, God, mbona ukamchukua? Like, why did you take him? maybe I fell into an accident and I'm like, God, why did you let me fall? God does not harm you. Your relationship ends. Why God? Never curse God, even in the midst of that questioning. And I encourage you guys, don't question God. Don't question God. Ask God. Don't question Him. There's a difference. Never question God. Ask God. For example, questioning me is like asking me, why, Kate, did you allow this to happen? But asking me a question is asking me, Kate, why? Like you're not accusing me, like, you get the point. Don't accuse God. So, my boo, my darling, I think we're done. God takes no pleasure in your suffering. That is the last point. And the point that stands out the most for me, even in my most painful moments, is that God does not have glory. God does not feel happy when I'm suffering. I mean, I'm His baby, which means when I'm suffering, He's also suffering and He's also wishing me the best in this suffering. So nowadays, when I go through a lot of pain, I find them as a lesson. The way I never used to enjoy chemistry lessons during the afternoon in high school, but they benefited me either way. So I take these lessons, these pains as lessons in my life. And I encourage you guys, take these pains as lessons today and know that God does not have pleasure when you're suffering. In fact, He's always there saying, Aki Waishe, my daughter, Aki Waishe, my son. I wish you can get through this, okay? So, with that, I'm going to ask you the last question, which is the question that we started by asking. Where is God during this pain, and why does God allow this pain? You can share in the comment section some of the ways that you feel God has led you to share. Like, tell us about your pain. Tell us how you imagine a victor. Tell us what you learned from that, okay? Tell us what pain is and let me know what you think about this topic, okay? I love you so much. It's not been an easy topic. I have literally been holding my breath, holding my tummy, saying, Kate, you need to be strong, don't cry. And I didn't cry even once, but I'm going to cry after this anyways. Guys, I love you so much. Have a beautiful, beautiful weekend. And make sure you follow me on all my social media platforms. I'm tagged as Kai Kate Lux. See you in the next episode. And don't forget, God loves you. And He does not have pleasure when you're suffering, my dear. Bye bye.